What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel, Dr. X Knows. I'm a little bit out of breath right now because I just finished running about a mile on my morning run. So today, instead of running back the second half, I decided I would make this video on what keeps me up at night or what I worry about as a 63-year-old man. I think this is probably going to have implications for everyone because you hope that you get to your golden years, as they call them, when you're approaching retirement, and hope to have everything all worked out. In reality, some things aren't quite worked out as well as you would like, and you still got things heavy in your mind. By the way, I'm wearing these dark glasses today because I'm walking back into the sun. It's directly in my eyes, and if I take them off, I'd be blinded. So bear with me for this short video. But what keeps you up at night? Are you worried about things like money, your health, your kids, your relationship? Perhaps your job is kind of heavy on your mind, trying to get a promotion, or just trying to stay up with the rest of your team. Or if you're owner of a business, how do you make the ends meet with your revenues and your expenses, trying to take care of your people at the same time, and bring home some money for the family to enjoy? Well, those things actually are the fodder of your worries, or my worries, even at 63. I still work. I have a team of about 5 people plus a bunch of volunteers on my church staff, and I'm always thinking of ways to increase their success as well as my own, because I know that I'm only as good as they are. And I think that's kind of how life is in general, is you're only as good as the people around you. No matter what you think of your own success and how it comes about, you really depend on your spouse, your partner if you have one, your closest friends, people who are your advisors, and your own personal board of directors, whom I have, always consulting with them. They're friends that I trust, dealing with my deepest worries and concerns concerning my work, and I go to them for solutions and some different perspectives on how to work things out. But I want to tell you, at 63, if I knew now what I knew then, back in my 40s, if I knew then, back in my 40s, what I know now, I might go about it a little bit differently. But primarily, I think I'd go about most of it the same. I'm in a construction site as I walk back towards my house, so you'll see and hear some strange noises from time to time. But the main thing I think I tend to keep in my mind is money. Do I have enough? Am I spending too much? How can I be more conservative? I had a big tax bill from 2024 that kind of surprised me a little bit, even though we got this tax reform from the Trump administration a few years ago that still is in effect, and they got extended this year. But you're kind of worried about your money all the time. I was thinking my parents just didn't talk about money when I was growing up. Both of them seemed to have enough, and they took care of me and my sister without much of a strain from my perspective. But I don't really know what was going on with them. I wonder if they had talked to me more about it, would I have a better sense about what money is and how to manage it as I get older. Honestly, I think I have more than enough, and I'm fortunate in that regard. I know that many people aren't, and you're still concerned about earning more and trying to bring in different streams of income. I do the same thing working with this YouTube, and I got VA benefits and salary and military retirement, and you still kind of think about money. I think it's because we're worried about surviving. We just gotta get to the end, to the finish line. We don't want to get to the finish line on Skid Row. None of us do. So that's just kind of one of the survival instincts that we have that keeps us going strong. So we tend to just focus on it, and it stays in the back of our minds all the time. Even as a 63-year-old, I'm still thinking about it more than I wanted to. The next thing is, how am I managing my relationships? Particularly my relationship with my spouse, my wife, who's a beautiful person. I think it's something that stays in the forefront of your brain is, are you being the good person that you thought you would be? Are you living into your wedding vows? If you're not married, you have a partner, I think you ought to be asking yourself, how can I become better for my partner? Along those lines, how can I stay better and good for myself? That's one of the driving mindsets that I have is just being a good partner. At 63, you think you have it all figured out, but we're still working on it because we're still changing. Our partner is still changing. We're evolving. It's hard to communicate all those changes that you go through on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes you just don't feel like talking. At least that's how I am sometimes. Sometimes you just think the person will kind of figure it out, but they won't figure it out unless you share it with them. The other thing that I worry about is my health. That's why I'm out here in the 80-degree weather on a Saturday morning in Elmendorf, Texas, running, because I want to keep my body strong and I want to keep my fitness up. And I don't want to be the person that's going to be going to the doctor, finding out that I'm on the verge of physical meltdown. I want my blood pressure to be normal. I want my cholesterol to be normal, and all my other panels that they test you for every 6 months or so, I want those to come out within reasonable range. So if I were 40, talking to a person who's in their 30s or their 40s, I'm saying, take care of yourself, brother, sister. Run, exercise, move your body, lift some weights. Those things will keep you strong and healthy, capable of getting through. Now it's time for a personal confession. That is, I've been estranged from my sister for a few years. It's kind of complicated how that took place, but it's true. And I'd be lying if I said it didn't bother me, but it was a conscious choice that I made based on some reasons that pretty personal. Don't want to go into here, but I do worry about just relationships in general. I have a bunch of friendships that are dear to me, just like family. Guys that I talk to, on a regular basis. Some of them, weekly. Got bees flying around me, and those guys really are true family. We just are brothers from other mothers, to use that expression. And I love those guys dearly. So I think the question is, how do you maintain friendships in your own life? What do you do to ensure that you have quality relationships that matter, that you can count on, that people can count on you, versus just relationships that you keep superficial? You see those things, those shows on TV like The Real Housewives, like these other dating shows, I like to watch Ready for Love, and those conversations they have are so superficial to me. And so they ask pretty direct questions about the individual's personality, but if you have any sense of wisdom about being around people, you know that those questions probably can't be answered unless you're with the person hours a day, days of the week, and weeks on end into years. So I value relationships, and that I don't have much family left because all my family, aside from my wife, lives on the East Coast, and I don't see them hardly ever. It's one of those concerns about, how will I spend my last days? Hopefully it will be with people who care about me, and not just being in some institutional place where I'm just another patient to be cared for, but hopefully I'll be with somebody who really does care for my well-being and will see after me in a nice way. What else do I worry about? That is just the day-to-day grind, all the stuff you have to do. As you get older, you don't have less stuff to do. You actually have more stuff to be accountable for. So I guess the fourth thing is accountability. Accountability for your actions, accountability for the stuff you own, accountability for the thoughts you have, accountability for how you spend your money, accountability to just caring for the stuff that you buy, accountability for paying your bills, accountability for how you spend your time. All this is really a big deal. I say I worry about it because I do, because every day I wake up with a brand new to-do list. And I believe you think that as you get older, perhaps that to-do list might get shorter, or it might shrink a little bit, or maybe you just can go along without having one and just live freely. In reality, you got to do that stuff every day. You got to keep a checklist, because if you don't have it written down, as they say, it's a figment of your imagination. And today, for example, I got up, I had to do my calendar for my work, my vacation, and my leave schedule. I wanted to finish a song that I'm writing. I had to clean up my Google Drive storage space, which seems pretty trivial, but if it gets full, you got to go in there and clean it out, be accountable. I share it with someone, and they want their space just like I want mine. So that fundamental life management is very much a part of what I worry about, because it always has to get done. There's always something to do. So at 63, I'm saying to you, those of you who are 53, 43, 33, and 23, you always got to do this stuff. It's just regular life maintenance. And finally, I think my last worry is, what am I contributing to the world? What is my life mission, which I say is to make the world a better place, to bring in goodness, to live into the gifts that I've been given, the graces that I was born with, the talents and skills that I have developed over the years. Am I using those to the maximum of the greater good, or am I using them just for my own selfish wishes, desires, and well-being? Ultimately, I would be balanced. Some for me, some for my family, some for the community I serve, and some for the greater good, the world that we live in. Am I aspiring to be the person that I know I can be at my best self? Because the world needs all of us to contribute, not just take, but to contribute and give. And that's what I hope that I'm doing. Now, I'm going to leave behind a legacy that says, this guy, XK, did something that changed the world. It may have been a small thing, but he did something that was meaningful and made a difference. And that's what I'm aspiring to do, is to make a difference in how this world comes out and who's in it and how they're impacted by my life. You can't change everybody's life. You can't change the world. It's not that many MLKs out there, not that many Gandhis. It's not that many Lech Walesas, or Barack Obamas, Michelle Obamas, Margaret Thatchers. There's some out there, but most of us are like me. It's the average bear trying to do something good in the world, and also maintain some semblance of balance, taking care of me and my family. So that, my friends, is the last thing that probably keeps me up, is living into my purpose, living into what the world says that I can do, and what I know I can do, and what gifts I've been given through my parents, friends that I have grown up with and made me who I am, and just my own spiritual life that has shaped who I am and how I interact with the world. So those are the things, my friends: money, time, relationships, health, and contributing to the greater good. Somehow I think I left off one, but that's okay. I'm out of here. See you next time. Well, I got an extra bonus section for you. I just ran into my wife, who was on her walk coming this direction. So I walked back a little bit with her, and now I'm free again, headed back to the house. I think the bonus is, how do you accommodate people in your life? That's really, I think, one of the deepest challenges that we face is being in a good relationship or being in good friendships. And how do you determine how do you compromise? That's really what it boils down to. How do we accept that people are different than ourselves, and we are as individuals, and people do things in different ways? And how do you bend? That's really what it comes down to: bend your own will towards others, either to ameliorate a relationship, that is to make it smoother, to get through differences, or simply just to be a person that is reasonable and accommodating. I had a friend several years ago. His name was Otis, who was the most easygoing guy that I ever met. And sometimes I think, as I think now, I probably need to remember how he was so accommodating and easygoing. Stuff that I thought would have been frustrating to a person, just kind of let him roll off his back. And it's easy for us to think that our way is the best way, and we get annoyed easily with other people who want to do things differently. But if we can be more flexible, agreeable, we have much better relationships. I think the key is also, when you're finding yourself into conflict, how do you end that argument or that fight so that you aren't carrying with you the strains of it, the pain of it, and the stain it leaves behind on your relationship. You gotta clean it up and try to end every disagreement positively if you can, with some humor, to lighten the burden that you carry of just being in conflict. Because it's inevitable. Two people get together, or three or more, it's going to be some differences. So that's kind of the way. I think in this, my personal example would have been just now, is that I was walking back home. My wife said, "Why don't you walk some with me?" Initially I said, "Nah, because I've already done my 2 miles," but I realized I needed to go ahead and compromise and walk with her for a little while, and I did. And we talked about a few things, and now I'm back on my path as I started out, and about maybe half a mile from the house. So I'm going to shut this thing down and get a run on. If any of this appealed to you or made a difference or made sense, that's what I'm really trying to do, is make some sense, to you. I think it might enhance or just give you some insight, or maybe just whatever, a little boost for the day. Click and subscribe and like this channel, and leave a comment. What keeps you up at night? What do you worry about? Whether you're 63 or 53 or 13, or maybe 73. I'd like to hear from you, because I got years ahead and I'm still under construction myself. All right, guys, I'll see you next time. This is Dr. X for Dr. X Knows. I'm out of here.